The mission of Southern Hampshire University is very simple. We exist to transform lives. What a big thing to say, right? That's a big project. When I think about that mission as it played out in our trip, I think of it as having an enormous impact on the students who came along. I think that we're sort of anchored in Manchester, but really in many ways it's the globe. It's everything that is our classroom. That's how we learn today.
I like being able to do discussions in the class, but then I like taking online classes because it makes me think all on my own.
You meet with students from across the country and in so many different age groups, so you get a lot of different perspectives that you can't necessarily get in the classroom, which I found exceptionally beneficial.
You all here will have degrees which most of your peers will not, so you all will be leaders in Rwanda.
Not only were we going to Rwanda to meet fellow students based at Kepler in Kigali, but we were also really going to bear witness to sustainable environmental change as it exists in a successful model.
We live in our communities, we have a sense of how to be in the world. And the great thing about travel is that it challenges all those assumptions and it pulls you into a different universe. The great thing about travel to Rwanda is that universe looks so dramatically different.
Oh my goodness.
The thing that Rwanda afforded us was not just the thrills of the new, whether it's trekking up to see gorillas or being in one of the most ancient rainforests on the globe, but it's also only 20 years away from genocide. We confronted humanity at its very worst in some ways, and the real human consequences of that. Then you take the work we are now getting underway in the refugee camp, where every single student, I think, in that camp was born and lived the whole of their life there. Maybe the most hopeless place I've ever seen. Rwanda is one of the few places where, as a refugee, you can actually work outside the camp. We're giving them the tools for that work, the tools to get income, the tools to finally have a life outside the camp. We can only do what we can do in the place where we find ourselves. So what SNHU can do is it can offer an education, and we're finding a way to do that in partnership with Kepler.
At the Kepler graduation, I remember seeing these piles of Southern New Hampshire University diplomas. 50 diplomas earned by 50 students in Kigali, Rwanda, from our university. The 50 students that we met at Kepler were all genocide survivors, every single one. And I remember looking out into the audience of this graduation and seeing 4 rows full of people. The rest of the rows that filled that room were empty. And those seats represented for me the families that weren't there, the families that had been destroyed. And yet, it wasn't a hopeless moment at all. It was a beautiful moment of witness. The celebration was extraordinary. It was rejuvenating. Everybody was dancing and singing and thrilled. I mean, thrilled to be celebrating their achievements and the achievements of their families.
These are people who are some of the very brightest citizens of their country and some of the very poorest. And Kepler exists to give them an opportunity hand in hand with SNHU. And these students now will have access to the kinds of careers and the work that will transform their lives, but they also have a way of thinking about being in the world that's incredibly powerful and valued within their culture as their society tries to rebuild itself.
Every single experience that students have at university can shape their lives moving forward, and I think with great privilege comes great responsibility. Those 5 students really have the capacity now to share a story that could shape and change the lives of their fellow students and shape and change their journeys moving forward. It felt like a beautiful parentheses around the whole experience. These two pillars of responsibility and storytelling.